What is up guys, Jarv here, and we're back again with some Destiny 2 stuff. So in this video today we're taking a look at what you need to do in order to get ready for the Niobe labs. So this goes live on the 8th of January, so we're going to be covering off things like the emblems, the mysterious box, and things you can do to get ready for this new content to make sure you're in the best position available in order to complete it. So if you find these tips useful, definitely feel free to leave a rating, that super helps me out on the channel. And if you're new here, want to see more D2 content, then certainly feel free to hit that sub button. But without further delay, let's jump in. So in this video I wanted to cover off the 10 key steps that I think you need to follow in order to get into the best position for the Niobe labs. Now we'll kick off at number 10, and this is to get to around 640 plus in power. As you know, you can do this by completing milestones, your weeklies and your dailies, but a lot of the quest steps for this new part of the Forge do require you to be 640 plus. So to give yourself the best opportunity for completing that content and being competitive, definitely seek out over the next week or so and try and complete as many milestones and weeklies and dailies as you can. Now moving on to number 9, we look at completing the 3 currently available forges. So as you may be aware, we have the Volunder forge in the EDZ, and then we have the Gofannon and the Izanami forges both on Nessus. Now I've got guides for Gofannon and Izanami. I'll leave those both in the video description, so if you want to follow those guides for the quest steps, then definitely feel free to check those videos out. But certainly make sure you take the time and the effort in order to get these forges done. Some of these quests are quite lengthy, so it will take a little bit of time investment, but even just getting these completed on your main character will put you in a great position once the new forge is available. And that brings us nicely onto number 8. So I've got here collect Modulus reports, but it can also be the ballistics logs as well. Those are the ones that kick off the powerful frames for the week, but Modulus reports are what you're going to need in order to be able to farm the frames and forge any new frames and potential radiant frames at the Bergusia forge. Now remember, in this forge you're going to be able to forge any weapon type, so the more Modulus reports you collect now, the less hassle it will cause later. So do a bit of prep time and it will pay dividends in the long run. So for the Modulus reports you get 2 per forge completion, so if you're farming out the sword this week for a god roll with surrounded, then it's a definitely good opportunity to stack up on those. And for the ballistics logs you get 2 per week, so Ada can offer up to 3 weapons per week, so you will have to choose which ones you do want to forge as powerful frames. But remember, ballistics logs don't actually carry over week on week, but these are going to be things you're going to need to obtain fairly early on the 8th of January, just so you have a great opportunity to get any new radiant frames as soon as possible. Now that brings us on to forging all current weapon frames. So as we mentioned just now, there are 3 weapons that normally are made available from Ada each week, so you're going to have to pick and choose which ones that you want to forge. Now the reason for this is, as you know, there's been multiple puzzles, 1 in each forge, and those have required 3 of the forge weapons so far, using the scopes and the sights in order to be able to see hidden symbols. So you don't want to be in a position where you don't have the right weapon to be able to see the right symbols. So to avoid that, make sure you've forged all the weapons, doesn't matter, on the roll, and you have them available just in case there's any new puzzles in the Bergusia forge, which I imagine there will be. Now looking at the current puzzles, so make sure you take the time to unlock the Satou's secret emblem. So this footage here is exactly what you need to do. So you need to go to the far end of the Volunder forge and stand on the crate, stand on the lion symbol and shoot the corresponding symbols as you see here. Now you're going to need the Tatara Gaze sniper rifle in order to be able to see these particular ones, and you need to move location, stand on the dragon's head and shoot these remaining symbols. Now once you shoot all the remaining symbols you will obtain the emblem itself, and in return for that you also are able to activate one of the crests also in this forge, with there being 3 in total. And when you have activated all 3, there'll be a secret hidden message appear on the screen at the back. Now it's not yet known if this leads into anything in particular, but again, as before, you just want to dot the I's and cross the T's and just make sure you've completed everything that you need to complete ahead of the 8th of January. Now this is the Rasmussen's gift emblem, so for this one you're going to need the machine gun. This is a little bit more complicated, so I've again added an on-screen prompt with where you need to stand and the symbols that you need to shoot. So this one is a little bit of a longer one, but just as important. What I'll also do for you guys is I'll pop links to my other videos about these emblems in the video descriptions. These are full guides for each individual emblem, so if you want a bit more detail and a bit more time, then definitely take the time to check out those videos. What I'll also do is I'll be adding timestamps for each of the 10 steps that we have in this guide. So if there's one that you want to recap on or you want to skip ahead, then you have full freedom to do so. Now in terms of what we know about Niobe Labs, now as far as we're aware, this is an event rather than a specific activity. The Bergusia Forge is the activity which sits inside Niobe Labs, and this is thought to be located in the EDZ just outside the outskirts. So in terms of what we need to do to initiate the quest, we're not 100% sure, but we do have access to a few of the steps, which allows us to see some key details which we'll cover in a few steps, which are really important that we get right to make sure that we're not held up and we're in the best position to jump into that activity as soon as possible. In terms of the remaining content for the Black Armory, so this will kick off on the 8th, as I mentioned earlier, and then the next drop for content for the Black Armory will be on the 29th of January, and this will introduce a brand new exotic weapon quest called the Draw, and that will be for the Destiny 1 hand cannon, The Last Word. And as always guys, I'll be doing my best to try and cover those as soon as possible with full guides on the quests and any hidden steps that you need in order to get your hands on that sweet weapon as soon as possible. So jumping back to the Rasmussen's gift emblem, so we're just wrapping up the last final steps on the symbols here, but once you've completed all the symbols, the emblem will drop and that will complete this particular puzzle. As with the previous one, it will then allow you to activate a second crest out of the 3 that are in the Volunder Forge. Now in terms of their location, there's one on the cliff just on the left hand side as you enter the Volunder Forge. The other is on the far left hand side by a screen in the corner, and the third one is in the caves. Now once you've completed that, I recommend highly that you get the Meyrin's vision emblem. So for this one, you'll need the bow, and this one's a lot shorter, so you need to come over here and stand on the butterfly and look up, and then there's these symbols here. So you need to shoot the trees, then there's a missive symbol over here on the rocks, and then you'll need to move and stand on a sun symbol, which is just there, and then you can shoot the heart, which is just in front of you. You need to shoot that twice, and then you'll need to spin around, shoot the trees symbol once again, and then there's a wings symbol up on the rocks, which I struggle to find as always. And once you complete that, you'll get the Meyrin's vision emblem, which is my personal favorite out of all the 3, and that will complete all 3 family puzzles that we're currently aware of, and will allow you to activate the 3rd and final crest. And in doing so, that will activate the big secret message on the big screen at the back of the forge. And that brings us on nicely to number 3, which is finding the mysterious box. Now this is on the left hand side of the Volunder Forge, so if you enter the forge, and as you see there's the forge itself. If you come down here to the left hand side and drop down, there's this little cave, and at the back of the cave you'll see this loot crate, and if you open this particular box, the mysterious box will drop. I've already got it, which is why it didn't drop again, but you'll see it here in my inventory. Now I've unlocked 3 of the 4 keys that are available, so it's super important that you get the box in order to make sure you're able to use the keys as soon as you've unlocked them. Now that brings us on very nicely to number 2, which is obtaining the 3 available mysterious box keys. Now to do this, you need to activate the maximum temper buff in each of the forges. That's the Gofannon, the Izanami and the Volunder Forge. Now to do that, you need to take out 2 of these small drones. They spawn after the 2nd round just begins, and they'll be there for around 10 to 15 seconds. So this is the Izanami Forge, so it's here on the left hand side, and if you turn to the right and get your sniper out, it's across on the other node on the far side of the island, just there. So you need to repeat that process at each of the forges. The locations do vary, but in doing so, once you complete the forge, whether it's successful or not, you'll get this new loot box appear, and that will drop the Black Armory key. There's a different one for each forge, and all you need to do is insert the key into the mysterious box, and that will activate one of the nodes. And that brings us finally on to number 1, which is complete and hold a rare Ada 1 bounty. Now it's super important that you do this. This is an RNG drop from any of the daily bounties that Ada has, but if you complete it, it will not expire and you can hold on to it, but this will form an important part of a quest step when the quest drops on the 8th of January. So make sure that you get this ahead of time, you complete it, and that you hold on to it. So once you get to that point in the quest, you can simply redeem the bounty and move on to the next step. So it's a massive recommendation and I highly suggest that you do that. But that wraps up the 10 recommendations and things that you can do to prepare for the Bergusia Forge. I hope you find this video useful, guys. If you have, definitely feel free to leave a rating on this video. It super helps me out here on the channel. And if you are brand new here and want to see more D2 content, then be sure to hit that subscribe button as well. I'm going to jump back into the game and I will catch you again in the next one. Peace out.